Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is your teacher in Florida. For those that are new here, please go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and remember to share, like, and comment down below, and also remember to turn on the notification bells. Now today I want to take you guys through the application process on how you can make a good application and find your way to the United States of America as a J1 teacher. So I'm going to take you step by step through this process. And if you have any questions, always remember to comment down below so that I can make follow-ups on your questions. Okay, so as a teacher, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have a passport. That is very important. You need to always have a passport. And then you need to identify your sponsors. Personally, I came with TPG. There is many other sponsors that you can use. So you need to be sure of who you want to use as a sponsor. I'm going to look for the other sponsors and give a list down below. So today, I'm going to take you through the first step, which I said you need to have a passport. And then once you have your passport and you've identified your sponsor, you need to go ahead and make your application. So the first thing that I did was to identify TPG as my sponsor and made my application to TPG. Once my application was submitted, I received a phone call from a lady, and that was 1 week after my application. So after that phone call, we had an easy conversation with the lady, and the one thing that I established was the lady actually wanted just to know how good my spoken English was. So she did not interview me or anything, but we just had an easy conversation with her, asking me about who I was, what I taught, and which grades I was teaching. It was an easy conversation. She also promised on the same day that I would receive another phone call the following Tuesday. So I eagerly waited for Tuesday. Every day I was really eager waiting for Tuesday to come. So when Tuesday came, I really waited for the phone call, and I remember the lady called me at around 11 into the night in Kenyan time. And that phone call was actually to establish that I was a teacher. This time around, the questions the lady was asking me were more of teacher-oriented kind of questions, like she wanted to know your classroom management skills. She wanted to know about how well you handle your class and which are some of your teaching styles or methodologies. Okay, so she went ahead now to put me on a list of being shortlisted. And as a teacher, when you are shortlisted, now you are going to be expecting certain things to happen. One is you are supposed to create a CV. You are also supposed to be interviewed by American employers, and after that step by step, you would proceed to make your embassy appointments and finally come to America. So after the phone call that we had and I was shortlisted, now the lady went ahead to schedule a CV for me. Now the way we created this CV was visual. So she called me, prepped me on the questions that I was expecting and how she expected me to answer them. She also sent me resources, provided me with a video that I would use to know what I was expecting. So this was in 1 week. Every time was 1 week. We would get in touch after a week. So every Tuesday we would make contact with my contact person. So on this particular day, she called and scheduled that, and I was supposed to do it at around 5 p.m. Kenyan time. But apparently I wasn't able to do it because during that time students are making a lot of noise. They were playing games. It was games time before students are released to go home. That is in Kenya. So there was so much noise, and one requirement that they need from you is the background should be quiet, 2, high-speed internet, and proper lighting. So this became a challenge and we had to reschedule. So because of this, the second time when the lady called me the following Tuesday, I actually had to sneak from school, went to my house and did the interview from my bedroom. So everything went well and we created the visual CV, which she later on uploaded to the employers portal in America. So the employers in America would go to the portal to see whether they like you as a teacher, and if they like you, they'd pick you, and then you proceed on to have an interview with them as your employers. So when that was done, the next step that I did was evaluation of credentials. So when I talk of evaluation of credentials, that means your documents, your transcripts, you have to send them to an evaluation body in America so that they can evaluate your documents and see whether your degree is an equivalent to a degree in America. So the one thing you need to do as a teacher, because they would advise you to go back to your university. So personally, I had to go back to Kampala because I went to university in Kampala. So I went to my former institution and met my academic registrar, and he sent my transcripts to Spantran. Now, Spantran is an evaluation body or an evaluating body in America, and at that time I remember I paid close to around 22,000 Kenyan shillings. Yeah, it was around 22,000 Kenyan shillings. So I paid, went to the university, the registrar sent my documents to Spantran, and it took me close to 2 weeks of waiting. When my documents came back, now I proceeded to send my evaluation or the evaluated now transcripts to TPG. TPG is my sponsor. And in that, I had now fully completed my application. All I needed to do was to now wait. And my sponsor, on the other hand, would also continuously check the portal to see whether I had any potential employers who wanted to interview me as a teacher. So when I first received my first school that wanted to interview me, I really fumbled a lot. I was so scared and nervous, and that interview did not go well. Why? I didn't know the kind of questions I would expect from them. Also, the following few interviews, the second and the third, also didn't go so well. I think I would have something like a stage fright. So I really had to bring myself into being more prepared for these interviews. So the one time I sat down and took and compared the questions that these different employers were asking, and I realized it was just as the same pattern of questions. So I prepared well for my interview that actually brought me to America, and at that time when I had my interview, it went well. And I know someone will ask, which are these questions that they ask you? One, they are going to ask you to introduce yourself. They are also going to ask you how long you've been a teacher, which grades your teaching methodologies. They would ask you, for instance, if you had a challenging student, how you are going to handle that student. And they would also want to bring to your attention, and not to scare you in any kind of way, they would want to bring to your attention that the American classroom is very different from the African classroom. I'm sorry, because now the American kids are very vocal about their rights, and they easily challenge you as a teacher. So these are the kind of things that you need to be prepared for, and as compared to our classrooms in Kenya, where the students don't actually challenge the teachers, and they are very ready to just listen to you as the teacher. So when the interview went well, just one thing that I'm quickly forgetting, at the end of the interview, the interviewers are going to ask you if you have any question for them. Always have a question. Always have a question, and with the question, it should be in line with the work you're going to come and do here in America. So it should be related to your job area. Now, another thing that I'm quickly also just remembering is, in all these, always remember to put an impression that once you're done with your time in your program, you want to go back home, so that the knowledge you've gained in your cultural exchange, you are going to take it back and share the knowledge with your schools back in Kenya. Always remember that. So after the interview had been successful, I remember now the next step that I had to do was to now book an appointment with the embassy. And that was so easy because it didn't give me any challenge, and I paid my service. Remember, from application to this point, there's nothing you're supposed to pay. There's nothing. If anybody is to ask you for any payment, then that is someone you also need to go back and look at it again. So I did not pay anything until to this point, when now I knew I was coming to America. So I paid for my embassy, and I also paid my service number. And when I went to the embassy, I remember I didn't have much problem, because the person there took very little time with me, close to, I think, only 2 minutes or 1 minute or so. And the questions they asked me was, one, where I was going, two, how long the program was running, and 3, they also asked me the rule on J1. So J1 has a rule that after 5 years you need to go back home, so that you stay back home for 2 years and then you can now apply again for another program. So yes, I answered my questions correctly, and my visa was granted. So after that, I now proceeded to book my flights and found my way to America. So if you have any other questions that you feel you need me to answer, please go ahead and make comments below. Then I will answer all the questions that you have. Thank you very much, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and also turn on the notification bells.